Welcome back to Let's Make a Game. In this video I would like to continue talking about tactical combat. In particular, I would like to talk about how I have updated the example code so that the hero can now attack the monsters. So here we have another run of the example code. So far it looks exactly the same as in the last video, but if we go towards the monsters, we can see that we are now able to attack, and sometimes we miss, sometimes we hit. In that particular case we killed a monster, and so on. So let's have a look at the code. You can see that there's two new passages: hero attacks, where most of the new code is going to be, of course, and you win. There's nothing really in there yet because we haven't really looked at what happens when the player wins a battle. There's also some new code in display arena. We have two new variables, one of which is $1away, ONEAWAY. When we display arena, when we're printing the battlefield, we sometimes look and see whether a given square is one away from the hero. And I've just used this variable to save that. $target, TARGET, is used when the hero is attacking to identify who they're attacking, and therefore who will lose hit points if the attack succeeds. And when we have a better system for attacks, it will also identify how hard it is to attack, because we'll have monsters with different difficulties, and so on. So let's look in display arena first. So we're going through all of the squares using print Y and print X. I've decided to set the value of 1 away at the beginning. So we set it to 0. Hero X and hero Y are the location of the hero. And then if the absolute difference between hero X and print X and hero Y and print Y are both less than 2, but either hero X doesn't equal print X or hero Y doesn't equal print Y, and the hero's hit points are greater than 0. If all of those things are true, then we set 1 away to 1. It wasn't really necessary. I could have just had this if, but I think it makes it a bit easier to follow. Anyway, what we do is, as the note says, if square is 1 away from hero, make it a link for the hero to either move, empty square, or attack, square with monster. I think the way that I had it set up as of the last video allowed you to move into a monster's square, so that's a thing that I didn't notice until I was changing it here, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, if 1 away is equal to 1, then we have this link code, and then after we add the details of what we're printing, which we've talked about in previous videos, if 1 away is equal to 1, then we do something depending on whether we're looking at a monster square or something else. Well, the only other thing it can be is an empty square. If it's an empty square, we've talked about this before, we set it up so you can move into it and the monsters move. Well, now we have something new. We set it up so that you attack, which means we include the new passage hero attacks, and then we include the passage monsters move. So what happens in hero attacks? Well, once again, we have a very simple system. 50% chance that you just miss, otherwise you hit, and you do 1 to 6 damage. You reduce the relevant monster hit points using this target variable, and I haven't talked about how the target variable is assigned. The way we do that is when we're looking to see if there's any monster in the square, as well as setting the temporary variable X to monster underscore, we also set the variable target to W, which is the number of the monster, so we know which monster we're attacking. If the damage reduces the monster's hit points to less than 1, Then we have a message, the monster is dead. Then we see if any monsters survive. Now this is never going to happen because at the moment it's more or less impossible for the hero to win, but we've put it in there just so we can access it when it becomes relevant. So we set Z equal to 0, we have a for loop. If any monster's hit points are greater than 0, then we set Z to 1. If at the end of that Z is equal to 0, then we include you win, which just has the message you have won. Because monsters can die, we need to make some changes to monsters' move. Specifically, we wrap all this code in if enemy HPZ is greater than 0. In other words, we don't have monsters moving and attacking that are dead. The other thing we need to do is when we are checking to see whether a monster can move into a square, we only count the square as occupied if the monster's hit points are greater than 0. In other words, dead monsters sort of disappear. The other monsters will move into their square. So we now have the basic things that are necessary for tactical combat. We have an arena or battlefield. We have a system where the hero can move around. We have a system where the monsters can move around. We have a system where the monsters and the hero can attack each other. We haven't achieved tactical combat because it's not really tactical. It's just clicking to see if you hit or miss. So in future videos, we'll be adding actual interesting options. I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.